Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to our virtual training presentation today. My name is Kevin Falk, and today's topic is how to submit a fund release authorization, Form SAB 5005 in OPSC Online. Here's our agenda for today. I'll provide a brief and general overview of fund releases. Next, I'll give a short overview of the OPSC Online system. From there, we will go over how to navigate the application dashboard and application management pages. Next, we will have an in-depth walkthrough of how to submit a Form SAB 5005 fund release authorization in OPSC Online. I will also show you how to upload documents in OPSC Online. And lastly, I will review the different required supporting documents to make a complete SAB 5005 submittal and the different certifications that the district will be required to make, depending on the type of funding requested. We will close our presentation with some additional resources, and then we'll have a live Q&A session. In the next couple of slides, I will discuss where to find the Form SAB 5005, at what point in the application process fund releases are able to be requested, and what the timelines for submitting them are. This slide shows you how to access two documents that might be helpful when viewed in conjunction with this presentation. If you want to download a PDF copy of the fund release authorization, please navigate to the Form section of our website and click the SAB 5005 Fund Release Authorization link. Additionally, there is a link on that same page called SAB 5005 Checklist, which will download a PDF of a checklist detailing which sections of the Form SAB 5005 must be completed depending on the funding type you are requesting, what the required documents are, and what the different certifications are. Here's the general timeline of a funding application from application submittal to fund release request. First, the funding application is submitted to our office. Once it has been reviewed and everything looks to be in order, our office will make a recommendation to the State Allocation Board to provide an unfunded approval to the application. Applications that have received an unfunded approval are eligible to participate in the priority funding process. Priority funding rounds open twice a year, from May to June and November to December. Applicants can participate by submitting a certification letter to our office requesting participation when the priority funding round is open. Participation in the priority funding round will make your application eligible to receive an apportionment. Participation in the May to June priority funding round makes your application eligible for an apportionment sometime in July to December of that year. Participation in the November to December priority funding round makes your application eligible for an apportionment sometime in January to June of the next year. Apportionments happen twice a year and coincide with bond sales by the State Treasurer's Office. Apportionments take place at State Allocation Board meetings, and projects are generally apportioned in the spring and fall. Once a project has received an apportionment, a fund release request may be submitted for the funds apportioned to that application. Submittal of the fund release request is the last step a district must take prior to receiving state funds. Generally, you must submit your fund release request within 90 days of receiving an apportionment. If you fail to submit your fund release within the 90-day window, your apportionment will be rescinded and your application will go back on the unfunded list with a new date, which will be 90 days after the original apportionment. This means that you'll have to wait until the next priority funding round, participate in that one to become eligible for another apportionment, and then submit the 5005 within 90 days of that second apportionment. The SAB 5005 form must be complete, signed by an authorized district representative, and accompanied by additional documentation as required. There are multiple ways to submit the fund release request. You can submit it electronically through our OPSC Online system, which we will go through in depth today. It can also be submitted electronically via email at opscfunrelease@dgs.ca.gov. If you email it, please also copy OPSC Application Review Team at dgs.ca.gov. Lastly, they can still be physically submitted in hard copy, though we prefer that they be submitted electronically. Now that we've gone over fund releases in general, I will provide a brief overview of the OPSC Online system, how to access it, and what the different user roles are in OPSC Online. On this slide is the process for accessing OPSC Online, starting from our website. I'll demonstrate this process with screenshots in the next few slides. I've also listed the URL for OPSC Online in case you want to bookmark it for future use. This is our main website. The Resources tab is outlined in red near the top of the page. Once you click on Resources, you'll see this page. Scroll down until you see the online application tools for school construction projects, outlined here in red. Click that link, and it will take you to this page. The first link on this page will take you to OPSC Online, and it is outlined in red. The second link will take you to our OPSC Online User Guide, which is a very helpful resource. That link is outlined in purple. Clicking on the OPSC Online application link will take you to the sign-in page for OPSC Online. Enter your email and password and click Sign In. This will take you to the main dashboard in OPSC Online. Now, before we get deeper into the navigation of OPSC Online, I'd like to take a few moments to go over the different user roles in OPSC Online that are relevant to SAB 5005 Fund Release Authorization submittals. The two user roles I'll be discussing today are school district representatives and superintendents and delegates. There are also architect and design professional roles for external users, but they are not relevant for today's topic, and I will not be discussing them. For more information on all the different user roles, please refer to our overview of OPSC Online presentation available on our website. School district representatives and superintendents are authorized representatives on OPSC's records. These users have the ability to complete and submit SAB 5005 applications in OPSC Online. Delegates are designated by a district representative or superintendent to assist with completing applications. They can do everything a district representative or superintendent can do except for making the certifications or submitting the form. They can fill out the application and get it ready for submittal and upload all of the required documents to the application. Here's a matrix going over the different permissions for the different users. As you can see, delegates can do everything that district representatives and superintendents can do except for adding users and signing and submitting applications. Delegates can view records, create applications, fill out and prepare applications for submittal, and upload documents. They can prepare an application in OPSC Online so that a district representative or superintendent can log in, review the application, and then certify and submit it. District representatives or superintendents can do all of the things that delegates can do, as well as adding new users, and most importantly, they can sign and submit complete applications. In this section, I will go over the application dashboard page and the application management page. I'll also provide a brief summary of the different application statuses. Once you log into OPSC Online, you will be taken to your dashboard, where you will be able to see all of the applications you have permission to see. So for example, if you are a district representative or a superintendent, you can see all of your district's active applications. If you are a consultant with permissions with multiple school districts, then you will see all of those districts' active applications on this page. The system takes a bit of time to load all of the applications, so your dashboard will look like this for a few moments while everything loads. Here's what your dashboard might look like once the applications populate. Now, this is a sample dashboard in our test environment, so nothing shown here is live data. The applications will be ordered by most recently updated by default. You can adjust how the applications are sorted by clicking on the column headers. Notice that there is a column for the status of your project. I'll go over the common and relevant application statuses to 5005 submittals in the next slide. Here are the relevant application statuses. Funding applications must be in the SAB approved status before you can submit a 5005 for them. Once your 5005 is submitted, it will have the submitted status. When OPSC is reviewing your 5005 submittal, it will be in the 5005 review status. Once OPSC has approved your 5005, we will change the status to 5005 approved. The district's fund release request will then be forwarded to the State Controller's Office shortly. Going back to our dashboard, you can click on any of the listed applications to bring up the application management page. If we click on the application outlined in red, which is a new construction application, it brings us to the application management page. This is the application management page. Like it sounds, this is the page from which you manage your application. You can do a lot on this page, but for today, we are focused on the 5005 section on the left side of the page. Okay, now that we've gone over how to navigate your dashboard, the relevant application statuses, and how to select an application to get to the application management page, we will go over how to create a linked SAB 5005. Like I mentioned, we will be paying attention to the 5005 section on the left side of the application management page. Notice that it says, you may now complete and submit an SAB 5005 form. That will only show up if the application is in the SAB approved status and only if the project has received an apportionment. If you click on the Create Linked 5005 link, it will take you to this page. This is the Create Linked Application page. You can select which type of linked application you want to create. If you get to this page from clicking the Create Linked 5005 link, the drop-down menu for which type of linked application to create will be pre-populated with the Fund Release Authorization 5005. Next, you'll have to select which funding application phase to link to the 5005. If there are multiple phases in your funding application, for example, if you had an unfunded approval for a design or site advance that we've since processed, then you might see multiple options here. In this example, there is only the full grant, so that box is checked. Next, you will be asked to enter an application nickname. You can name it whatever you like, but for this example, I've just used the application number. Once you have everything filled out, you can hit the Create Linked App button to create your linked 5005 application. The system will take a minute to process the request, but you should eventually see a notification pop up in the lower right-hand corner saying that the linked application has been successfully created. Once you create your linked 5005 application, the system should take you back to the application management page, except this time, you'll see that a draft application has been started under the 5005 section on the left side of the page. We've talked about how to create a linked SAB 5005 for your application. Now we'll get into how to fill out that 5005 and submit it. In this section, we'll go through the steps for submitting a 5005. The sections of the 5005 you will complete depends on what kind of apportionment you are requesting funds for. Here's a matrix of which sections of the online form need to be filled out depending on which type of funding is being requested. Across the top, you have the different types of apportionments that you can request a fund release for. Along the left-hand side are the different sections of the online 5005 form. You'll notice that some sections need to be completed for every funding type. For example, everyone needs to complete the signed grant agreement, certification, review, and submit sections of the online form. Now, I won't be going over this matrix in detail, but if you print out this slide, it will serve as a handy reference document. I will be showing you the step-by-step process for how to submit the online form depending on the type of apportionment you are requesting. I'll first show you how to request the funds for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, or charter school apportionment, since they will all have to fill out the same sections of the form. Like I said, once you create your linked 5005 application, you'll be taken back to the application management page, except this time, you'll see that a draft application has been started under the 5005 section on the left side of the page. From here, you can click on the white box to open the application management page for your 5005 application. You'll notice the draft that we created under the draft section of the page. Click on this, and it will open up the 5005 wizard, and you can begin filling out the online form. To submit a 5005 for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, or charter school apportionment, you'll need to complete the sections outlined in red. The SAB 5005 online form automatically opens in the review section of the wizard. You will see that the review section on the left side of the screen has been highlighted in blue. This means that you are in that section of the form. In the review section, you can scroll around to view the different sections of the form and edit specific sections by clicking on the Edit Page icon in each section. You can also navigate to a section by clicking on it, where it appears on the left side of the page. I'll take a quick detour to go over the circles and the symbols that you might see next to each section and what they mean. You'll notice that some of them have green check marks next to them. The green check marks mean that the system considers a section to be complete. The system won't allow you to submit the form unless each section has a green check mark next to it. In the 5005 system, all the sections besides the certification, review, and submit sections are automatically considered complete, even if they are blank. This is different from how the online 5004 system works. This is so that experienced users can skip directly to the sections they need to fill out, depending on the type of funding they are requesting. For newer users, you can go section by section to confirm whether or not you need to complete that section. Sections with empty circles next to them have not been completed yet. They must be finished before you can submit the application. Another symbol you might see is an orange exclamation point next to a section. This means that the section was begun but not finished. The system will not allow you to submit the application if any of the sections have an orange exclamation point next to it. Okay, now that we've gone over the symbols you might see next to the form sections, let's get back to submitting the form. The first section you will have to complete to submit a fund release for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, or charter school apportionment is the NC Mod Charter Rehab section. You can get to this page by clicking on the NC Mod Charter Rehab section on the left side of the page. To complete this section, you will have to certify that your applicable matching share has either been deposited in the County School Facility Fund, has already been expended by the district for the project, or will be expended by the district prior to the notice of completion for the project. Next, you will have to list the percent of construction that the district has entered into a binding contract for. In order to request a fund release for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, or charter school apportionment, you must have at least 50% of the construction under contract. If you click the little question mark icon, help text will appear with instructions and context. Next, the form will require you to enter the DSA approval date for the project. You may have already entered this date in the funding application, but you will have to re-enter it here. The date should be the same as what was listed on the funding application submittal. The system will only allow you to enter one date here. If there is more than one date for the project, enter the approval date that corresponds to the last project awarded. Please also upload an attachment with the other dates and which contracts they are associated with. I'll be going over how to upload files later. Next, the form will ask you to enter the date the notice to proceed was issued for the project. Again, the system only allows you to enter one date. If there are multiple dates, enter the date that corresponds with the last contract awarded. If there's more than one date that notice to proceeds were issued, include the information in the construction delivery method section, which I will get to later. Next, the form will ask you to enter the contract award date for the project. Again, the system only allows you to enter one date. If there are multiple dates, enter the date that corresponds with the last contract awarded. If there is more than one contract award date, include the additional dates in the construction delivery method section, which will be covered later. The next section of the form asks about the certification made on the funding application regarding compliance with Education Code Section 17070.955, that the need for vocational and career technical facilities is being adequately met within the district. High school and unified school districts should have already submitted written confirmation from the Career Technical Education Advisory Committee that the needs are being met. If you are a high school district or unified school district and you have submitted such written confirmation, select No. If you are a high school district or unified school district and you have not submitted such written confirmation, select Yes, and you must provide the written confirmation with the submittal of the 5005 form. If you are an elementary school district, this section does not apply to you and you can leave it blank. The next section is only applicable to fund releases for charter school facilities program apportionments. If you are not requesting this kind of apportionment, you can leave it blank. In order for funds to be released for a charter school facilities program apportionment, the applicant must certify that it has entered into the charter school agreements pursuant to School Facility Program Regulation Section 1859.164.2. We'll go ahead and assume that we are not requesting funding under the Charter School Facilities Program. Now that we have finished entering everything into this section of the form, we can save our progress by clicking the green Continue button. Next, we will want to move on to the next required section, which is the District Funding Sources section. You can get there by clicking on District Funding Sources on the left side of the page. This section asks you to identify the district funding sources that have or will be used for the district's share of the project by clicking Yes to the appropriate boxes. Select Yes to whichever ones are applicable to your project. Multiple sources can be identified. Please note that if you select Yes to other funds available, the system will ask you to identify the other funding source. If your application is 100% funded by financial hardship, select No for each funding source. Once you're done filling this section out, you can save your entries by clicking the Continue button. Next, we will move on to the Construction Delivery Method section. You can get here by clicking on the Construction Delivery Method section on the left side of the page. The construction contract information may have already been entered by a district user, a delegate, or even your OPSC project manager when uploading the funding application to OPSC Online. If so, then the information should be pre-populated in your linked fund release application. That information will be populated in the section outlined in red. Note that you can scroll that section to the right or left to see additional information. Let's say that you need to add to or edit the pre-populated information. To do that, click on the blue Add/Edit Contracts button. Once you click that button, a menu will open where you can add new contracts and edit existing contracts. If you want to add a new contract, use the top section of this menu to do so. You can add a contractor name. You can enter a contract award date, either by selecting a date from the calendar drop-down menu or by typing a date in. Please note that the system will not allow you to enter a date in the future. Next, you can select a contract type from the drop-down menu. You can also enter the contract amount. You can enter the date the notice to proceed was issued, either by selecting a date from the calendar drop-down menu or by typing a date in. Lastly, you can choose the construction delivery method from the drop-down menu. Once you are done, hit the green Add Contract button to save the information and enter the contract into the system. Now you will see the new contract in the Added Contract section. You will notice that the imported contract information from the funding application has some information missing. You can edit or delete contracts that have been entered into the system by scrolling to the right and clicking the appropriate button. In this example, I'll show you how to edit an existing contract. Clicking the Edit button will populate the information for the contract you are editing in the top section. Enter the appropriate information and then hit Save. The contract information in the bottom should be updated with your edits. When you're done adding or editing your contract information, you can exit this menu by clicking on the little X at the top right of the menu. To save your changes in the system, hit Continue. This will bring us to the Signed Grant Agreement section, which must be completed. Hitting continue in the construction delivery method section will bring you to this page. You can also get here by clicking on the signed grant agreement section on the left side of the page. The system will ask whether you have already submitted a signed grant agreement for this project, or if the signed grant agreement accompanies this form. You must be able to answer yes to one of these questions to have a complete fund release submittal. Do not answer yes to both. In this example, we will assume that you've already submitted the signed grant agreement for this project. Please note that the grant agreement must be received on or before the date you submit your fund release authorization. To save our information into the system, we will hit continue. That will bring us to our next section, which is a district certification page. Delegates can complete the form up to this section. The certification section can only be completed by district representative or superintendent. Please note that regardless of the type of funding you are requesting a fund release for, you will be making these same certifications when you submit the form. By submitting the form, the district will be certifying to all of the bulleted items shown here, outlined in red. I won't go through them all, but please take the time to do so when you are at this stage of your 5005 submittal. Once you've read through the certifications, you can click the Yes button to verify that you have read and agreed to the above terms and certification information. Next, you will be asked to enter your contact information. Please note that only an authorized district representative may make these certifications. District representatives are authorized to sign and submit forms under the school facility program with a local school district governing board resolution, and they are certified to our office with the submittal of a signed Form SAB 5003. District superintendents are by default authorized district representatives. A governing board resolution and the submittal of a Form SAB 5003 is not necessary to authorize district superintendents to sign and submit forms under the school facility program. When you are ready to move on and save the information into the system, hit the Continue button until the form is submitted. Think of this page as a signature block of the physical form. The actual submittal will happen later in the Submit section. Hitting Continue saves the information and brings us to the next section, which is the Review section. The system will automatically open the 5005 form at the Review section, so this will look familiar. Like I said previously, this is where you can scroll through all of the different sections and review the information entered. If you see that something needs to be changed in a section, you can hit the Edit Page button to go back into that section and edit the information. If everything looks good, scroll to the bottom and hit Continue. This brings us to our last page, the Submit page. Please note that you can only submit the application if there are green check marks in every section. There are some notifications that I want to bring your attention to on this page. First, only district representatives may submit paperless applications. Submittal of a paperless application is considered to be a unique electronic signature, and a printed, wet signature request does not need to be mailed to our office. Second, documents can be uploaded to your application at any time. And uploaded files cannot be removed by applicants. By submitting, you'll be making the certifications that we discussed earlier, as well as a few additional certifications. You'll certify that you have uploaded all required documents on the Fund Release Authorization. Don't worry if you haven't uploaded all of the documents yet. You'll have 7 working days from the date of submittal of the paperless application to upload all of the required documents. You can upload files here or from the application dashboard, and I'll be going over how to upload files later in the presentation. Next, you will certify that all of the information in the form is true and correct, and that you are someone authorized to submit the form. Lastly, you will hit the Submit Paperless Application button. This submits the application to our office and is synonymous with hand delivering a hard copy form to our office. The system will take a few seconds to load, and eventually you will reach this screen, confirming the submission of your 5005 application. From this page, you can do a number of things. You can upload files by clicking on the Upload Remaining Files button. Remember, you will have 7 working days from the submittal of the online form to upload the remaining documents. If you click the link Review Required Documents, it should download a PDF of our 5005 submittal checklist. This is a checklist with the different documents and certifications that are required for a complete fund release submittal, depending on the type of funding you are requesting a fund release for. You can download a copy of the completed form by clicking the Download Completed Form link. Let's click the Go to Application Dashboard link. That takes us back to the application dashboard, where we will see that the 5005 application is now in the submitted status. All right, now let's get into how to upload documents in OPSC Online. Here we are in the application dashboard page for the 5005. Click the Upload File button to start uploading your files. I want to point out here that you can upload files during any stage of the application process. You can upload documents if the application is in the draft, submitted, or OPSC reviewing statuses. Once you hit Upload, this page will appear where you can upload files directly by dragging and dropping them into the top section, or by hitting the Browse Files button to select the files you want to upload. After uploading your file, in this case your construction contract and notice to proceed, you'll want to provide a description of it, and then select the file type that best fits that document. From the drop-down menu under File Type, you'll find the type that best fits your uploaded document and select it. As you can see, we have lots of different file type options available, and there is also an Other option if none of the existing options fit your document type. Here, you can see multiple uploads. Next, you'll hit the Upload Files button and fully upload your documents. Here you can see that you need to wait once you hit Upload, since it will take some time for OPSC Online to successfully upload all your documents at once. Once a file has been uploaded, you'll see Successfully Uploaded under the file name. After your documents have been uploaded, you'll see them in the Uploaded Files section of the 5005 application dashboard. Please note that if a document that's required for the 5005 was already uploaded to the funding application page, then you don't need to upload it again to the 5005 page. For example, if the notice to proceed was already uploaded to the 5005, to the 5004, you don't need to upload it again to the 5005. You can view all the documents that have been uploaded for the project as a whole in the All Uploaded Documents page, which can be accessed by clicking the white box outlined in red. Links can also be added to applications for larger files that cannot be uploaded. Our upload size for individual files is 20 megabytes per file. The link option allows districts to easily add a link to access the district's information. Please note that links can become outdated, so when possible, upload your documents into OPSC Online. To add a link to your application, click on the link icon in red. Enter the information for your link here and click Add Link. Any uploaded or linked documents will be saved to your 5005 application and will be available to review at any time. Okay, now that we've learned how to submit a fund release for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, and charter school apportionment, as well as how to upload documents, I'll go over how to complete a fund release in OPSC Online for the other types of apportionments. Please note that I'll only go into detail for the sections that I haven't shown you already. In this section, we'll go over what's needed for a new construction site-only fund release. To submit a 5005 for a new construction site-only apportionment, you'll have to fill out the sections outlined in red. Since you've seen the other sections already, I'll only be showing you the new construction site acquisition only section. The district will need to certify that it is entered into escrow for the site. The district will need to certify that its applicable matching share has either been deposited in the county school facility fund, has already been expended by the district for the project, or will be expended by the district prior to the notice of completion for the project. Please note that this particular certification regarding matching shares will show up again in other sections. From here on out, I'll just refer to this certification as the matching share certification. Additionally, the district will have to upload a copy of the escrow instructions for the site transaction. In this section, we'll go over what's needed for a CTE fund release. To submit a 5005 for a CTE application, you'll have to fill out the sections outlined in red. Since you've seen the other sections already, I'll only be showing you the CTE Facilities Projects section. The district will need to make the same matching share certification. If the district requested a loan for its matching share, the district will have to certify that it is entered into a loan agreement with the state. If you did not request a loan, you can enter no or leave it blank. You'll have to provide the DSA and CDE approval dates. You'll also have to provide the date those approval letters were submitted to our office. And lastly, you will have to provide the DSA number for the project. To save the DSA number, you will have to hit the Enter key. You can save multiple DSA numbers if your project has more than one DSA number associated with it. In this section, we'll go over what's needed for a design-only preliminary charter school application fund release. To submit a 5005 for a design-only preliminary charter school application, you have to fill out the sections outlined in red. As you've seen the other sections already, I'll only be showing you the design-only preliminary charter apportionment section. The district will need to make the same matching share certification. The charter school will have to certify that it has current financial soundness status from the California School Finance Authority. The charter school will have to certify that it has entered into the charter school agreements pursuant to School Facility Program Regulation Section 1859.164.2. In this section, we'll go over what's needed for a separate site preliminary charter school apportionment fund release. To submit a 5005 for a separate site preliminary charter school apportionment, you have to fill out the sections outlined in red. As you've seen the other sections already, I'll only be showing you the separate site preliminary charter school apportionment section. The charter school will have to certify that the funds are needed to place on deposit in order to secure the site acquisition. The district will need to make the same matching share certification. The charter school will have to certify that it has current financial soundness status from the California School Finance Authority. And the charter school will have to certify that it has entered into the charter school agreements pursuant to School Facility Program Regulation Section 1859.164.2. In this section, we will talk about the different documents that are required for submitting fund releases, depending on the type of funding that you are requesting. Here are the documents that must be submitted along with a fund release if you're requesting funds for a new construction, modernization, facility hardship, seismic mitigation program, or charter school apportionment. A signed grant agreement is required if it hasn't already been submitted. Construction contract pages, including the first page, the signature page, and pages clearly showing the construction contract amount, contract date, school site, and scope of work performed must be submitted. For non-modernization applications, accepted bid documents, including additive or deductive alternates, if applicable, must be submitted. If the construction contract is applicable to multiple state funding applications, then a prorate and explanation of the prorate methodology must be submitted. A project information worksheet must be completed prior to the submittal of the Form SAB 5005. The PIW may be completed online at the link shown on the slide. Please note that this is not applicable to modernization projects and is only required when requesting the full grant. For charter school apportionments, charter school agreements must be submitted if not previously submitted or if since revised. This slide has the documents that are required if your application had a construction contract that was awarded prior to January 1, 2012, and required a labor compliance program. Since these kinds of applications are rare, I won't spend much time here. Just know that if the construction contract for your application was awarded before 2012 and required a labor compliance program, you will have to provide additional documentation along with your Form SAB 5005. When submitting a fund release for a new construction site acquisition only apportionment, the escrow instructions for the site acquisition must be submitted. In addition, the signed grant agreement is required if it hasn't already been submitted. There isn't much you have to submit with a fund release for a CTE project. If you haven't already provided it, you must submit the signed grant agreement. If you are submitting a fund release for a charter school design only or separate site apportionment, you need to submit the following in addition to the Form SAB 5005. The signed grant agreement, if not already provided. Charter school agreements, if not previously submitted or if since revised. If the charter school is approved to hold title to the site, an appraisal must be submitted, and it may be preliminary. This only applies to separate site apportionments. Also, if the charter school is approved to hold title to the site, a California Department of Education contingent site approval letter must be submitted. Again, this only applies to separate site apportionments. This section contains the different certifications that will be made when submitting fund releases, depending on the type of funding that you are requesting. I will not be going into detail on these certifications. They are lifted straight from the Form SAB 5005. Please note that these certifications are made in addition to the ones made on previous forms, like the application for funding Form SAB 5004. I include them here in case you want to print these slides out to use as a reference document. These are the certifications specific to fund releases submitted for new construction, modernization, facility hardship, seismic mitigation program, and charter school apportionments. These are the certifications specific to fund releases for new construction site-only apportionments. Here are the certifications specific to fund releases for CTE funding. These are the certifications specific to design-only charter school fund releases. Well, that about does it for our training today. Here's a brief recap of the important takeaways from today's presentation. Fund Release Authorization Form SAB 5005s can be submitted for apportioned applications only. You have 90 days from the date of apportionment to submit your fund release. The fund release can be submitted via OPSC Online or by email. You will have 7 working days from the date of the online submittal to upload all of the required documents. And certifications and required documents vary by the type of funding being requested. Here are some resources that you may find helpful. Our fund release mailbox is at opscfundrelease@dgs.ca.gov. Our grant agreement mailbox is at opscgrantagreements@dgs.ca.gov. We have a SAB 5005 checklist. You can find it under the form section of our website or by clicking the link on the slide. This is a handy reference document listing the different required documents and certifications by apportionment type. Lastly, we have a YouTube page. It's OPSC U. We will be offering more workshops this calendar year. However, the dates have not been finalized yet. For more information on previous and upcoming presentations, you can go to the OPSC Virtual Training Series page, located under the Resources tab of our website. Or you can follow the link on the slide, which will take you straight to our Virtual Training Series webpage. For the latest news and updates, please subscribe to our email list. You can subscribe by going to the link shown here on the slide. By subscribing, you'll receive all SAB and OPSC meeting notifications, SAB agendas, priority funding announcements, and any other relevant information. This takes us to our Q&A section. Feel free to type out your question in the chat or unmute yourself and ask it live. If you think of a question later, you can write to your OPSC project manager, which you can find through the first link on this slide. If you have any comments or suggestions on how we can improve our training series, please write to our communications team at opsccommunications@dgs.ca.gov. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing your questions.